I second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. We have one missing, but Bernie's not here yet.
We have a quorum.
Yeah, we have a quorum.
I would take a knee.
We're gonna
Can't get everybody.
Start off with old business, and on the agenda, there's minutes. We've crossed that right out. We stopped having minutes several years ago. So we're gonna jump right to B, insurance RFP update.
So, can I just ask, so on the minutes, I actually really liked having this. So, so my understanding is that we're gonna have them, but we're not going to cover them?
We're not gonna have them. The minutes are all on the table.
They are all on the tape, but I was secretly psyched to pop down through the minutes and be like, okay, and then there was this, and this is about how long it took for discussion. And those little snippets of this was made by this person, it doesn't have to be a great synopsis, but just a brief synopsis that kind of, you know.
We ran into this a few years ago where there was a difference of opinion on how it was said, because it was different in the minutes than what it was on the tape. So Ernie Rice did some investigating and found out the legal minutes would go on the tape.
Well, I do realize that the legal minutes will go on to that.
We could
And
use-
I would be okay if these minutes said like, you know, rough synopsis or something. Just what leads me to this, Ricky, is the conversation about something that had been addressed at a meeting a few years back. And how quickly, when you have a keyword that you can put in PDFs and pull up the minutes that all pertain to that versus trying to find where it is in tapes previously, that was immensely helpful to me. And it was like, oh yeah, and then there was that, and then after that was followed up by this, so it gives us the next step to look for. I feel like if we are just having the tapes, we are gonna, when we have to go back and find something from a few years ago, we're gonna be in a pickle.
The discussion we had way back.
I think I was here for part of the beginning of that, when we first were talking about this versus this and what we
We
should.
may have had
do
before,
about it.
but you, well, just, I was one of the people that led the charge, and you weren't, I took your place, so you weren't on the board at the time. What I had said, either or, either we have that or we have the written ones, but don't have both, because there's too much chance of a conflict. And we elected to go with the electronic recording. We're not actually required to have minutes at all.
Oh, I know, but I know we had had the discussion previously, I think maybe when we were discussing, should we be recording them?
Well,
Would it make a difference if we didn't call them minutes, if we just called them notes?
no.
I don't know.
I mean, if that's legal, if those are the legal minutes, and you find value in the notes, and I actually do too, why not just call them notes and
Well, the other,
not confuse them with the minutes?
the other thing I suggested at the time,
Or highlights?
the other thing I had suggested at the time is we go with as far as the written part of it, we go with the bare minimum required by the law, which is basically who was there, who made the motion, how the vote went, period. And that could be used, if nothing else, that could be used as an index to go to the tape. Because you know, on July 2nd, 3rd, what's today? July 3rd, there was a motion made to about the winter plowing.
Which looks to me like how these minutes came, that's exactly what this looks like, a motion was made, a motion was seconded.
I just don't know where they came from.
Oh, it came from Cheryl.
I know where they came
Well,
from,
because I think we've had a section that had minutes previously.
long time ago, but we've done away with it. But it's up to the board if that's what they want to do again.
Can we bring them back?
The only thing you gotta,
Just in this form.
you just gotta remember, this takes
Just
time to
recently.
review, and I'm not sure how much time.
The only way,
You all right?
be with you in a minute.
Okay.
The only way I could accept them like this is if it's clearly indicated this is not the official minutes. We don't talk about it, we don't approve them, they're just, here they are. That's the official minute. And I mean, I don't even see a need for that, but if the board wants to go along with it, that's what it does.
I'd go along with that if we don't, we're not gonna approve them, they're just,
We just wasted more,
Yeah, yeah.
we wasted more
It's more
time.
like a,
I just,
more
Yeah,
like
you
when
ever come up
I
in
get
it?
my book on Kindle, and I'm like, oh yeah, chapter 3 has blah, blah, blah.
I just don't want this to come up as in an argument with, somebody said, this is what was said out of those minutes.
But it
Because,
doesn't say there anywhere, but this is what
I
was
know,
said.
but it, that's what was happening.
I know, we don't want it to veer off. into-
Call it a synopsis, call it a synopsis. How's that?
Synopsis is fine, I'm
I
good
don't
to
care.
go.
Sounded good, didn't it?
Well, do we wanna, what do we wanna do? Do we wanna do what
Or
we've been
highlights.
doing, or do we want to change? Somebody make a
That's
motion.
up to you guys, if somebody make a motion and see where it goes, yes?
I make a motion that we include a synopsis for our reference to the previous meeting,
Is that chapter?
as described as we were just talking about. You got it?
And not to be voted on?
Not to be voted on.
Just use as a reference point, not a bibliographical
Can add that.
reference,
Not to be voted on. Did I have?
not official.
Don't hear a second.
Second.
No.
Third.
I'd be willing to give it a try for a few months just to see what it does, but if it becomes a
Can
problem,
we revisit this in September? We'll see how it goes over the summer.
I'm fine with
July,
that.
August, September.
You fine with that, Mike?
3 months stint.
I was already voting against it, but to you. but
Well,
I'll
no,
go-
I
I'll
mean,
go-
I
I'll go
was
along
too.
with-
I was gonna vote against it too, but
We'll go along, we'll kill it. We'll
let's
go
see
along
where it
To
goes.
Did you just say
September.
we'll kill it?
Well, if we both voted against
No, we
it,
both voted against it, it's done.
It would've
do or
been.
die, yeah.
Okay,
We're gonna
So it's-
spend a little bit,
Until the first meeting in September.
I don't want to wear you out.
Yeah, we'll do this through
Don't wanna
actually
wait
the
out,
last
Rick.
meeting in August it'll amount to.
yep, that's fine.
Okay, a couple of
We're
meetings.
gonna do it till the first meeting in September, and we'll revisit it then, to
Fine.
see how it's going.
This, Cheryl, is all, this is the extent of what you're gonna do.
Yeah, just,
That's it.
and it won't even be on the agenda. Thank you.
Well, you can give them to us, but we're not gonna, we're not
Is there
gonna,
an official vote?
And you don't even have
I
to
had
read
first
them,
and
Mike.
second, I didn't see the vote, so.
We didn't vote, but, okay.
all of them.
All right, I'll call a vote. All in favor?
Of trying this until
Yeah.
when you said,
Till the
Yes.
first meeting in September.
or the
That's
last
fine.
meeting in August, whichever comes first, which would be the last.
Probably the last
Oh,
meeting.
you
in
know
August.
the last one in August, I won't be here.
Oh, good.
Yes!
We get something done.
So how about the first meeting in September?
So we did, first meeting in September. All right.
She
we
just
got
got so excited she couldn't hear it. That's it.
No, she takes so much
And it
time
was
off,
4 and 1 absent, so.
she takes so much time off, the rest of us don't have a chance to get out.
All right, let's get rid on the insurance here.
Get out of here.
There are P updates.
Okay. Who's gonna explain this to us, Melanie?
So the town has 4 different types of insurance: health insurance, workers' comp, property and casualty, and unemployment. I spoke with MMA. We were going to get an RFP together this summer for our budget season. MMA informed us that we had signed a contract and we need to give 60 days notice before canceling any insurance, and same with health insurance. So we just spoke briefly, Dennis and I, with MMA and with Kai's just to get some preliminary figures. We had a meeting last week on it. And I think that what we're going to do is put an RFP out for health insurance, probably in September and October. They don't get the rates for the new year until after October. And then do it again in March for the property and casualty to change it. We give our 60-day notice. Property and casualty runs from July to June, and health insurance is a calendar year, January to December.
What is your feeling as the treasurer and as an employee about the current insurance? And should we be thinking about changing?
The health insurance?
Well, that's what we're talking about, yeah.
Well, I'm okay with the health insurance. What he put on paper looks really, really good for the health insurance. My concern with the health insurance is we have an HRA currently, And our HRA is an out-of-pocket maximum of $4,500, and that's what we actually budgeted for. Each employee that's eligible for health insurance is the $4,500. He wants to increase our HRA to $6,250.
Who's he?
The Kais is who we talked to, one of the gentlemen's Kais. And this is what he's proposing, is that we put more money in an HRA and pay less for a premium. So right now with MMA, our premiums are high, but our HRA is lower. But if the employees don't use the benefit, MMA still keeps our money. But if we have a higher HRA and it covers less, it covers like all preventative and basically just all preventative and preventative drugs, then it takes the money out of the HRA. And if we don't use it, then we're not paying the premium and the money stays with the town. So it looks good. I just would like to have somebody review it. I got the complete policy with both of them, to have somebody review it to see. We're using about 8 to 10% of our HRA now, but the insurance company's covering more.
Is there any rush to vote on this tonight?
Oh, no.
No, this is just information.
Just information.
Yeah.
We still gotta set up a committee for this, and that's what Dennis was gonna do, I believe. There was gonna be a committee set up for all the insurances, and hasn't gone into effect yet.
I haven't heard that. I just knew that I was running it by Steve Smith, because he
Yeah,
does insurance.
he was gonna be on the
isn't-
committee too. In fact, that was, well,
It's,
No,
it was
say
part
it.
of, it was part of the reason maybe one of our select people got done. Because that was gonna happen. There was gonna be a committee set up to go over all the insurance benefits. And property and casualty insurance too. So maybe I need to just put the fire under Denny a little bit and get it
well,
going.
why don't we just say we want that to happen?
It was already set. It should be doing, but
All right,
let's
light a fire.
we need to probably enforce it again.
Is it in previous notes? Like,
It's probably on the tape someplace.
okay. You think we could find it on the
Oh, yeah.
tape?
Did we have synopsis?
If you probably go online, you'll probably read what it said, because it was being taped and recorded at that time.
It'd be nice to know what the discussion was.
It was about, just what I just said.
Setting up the committee.
Yes, and Steve Smith was one that we asked to be on it. I think Ernie Rice wanted to be on it. There was several. And we've kind of gone around it again, so. Could you put that in the notes to make sure? Okay. Any more on that, or,
No more on that.
okay? You guys all set with that?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be happy to be on that
Okay.
insurance committee, so.
Speak to Denny, get on that with him.
Well,
I'm gonna remind him again.
why don't we just let Danny know we appointed these people? Appointed first, she has to be.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's next?
All right, the Center for All Season maintenance update?
Make a motion to table that until someone's here from the
Yes.
committee.
Let's
Yeah.
wait and see if Ernie makes it. Just wanted to just skip
There's no one
over.
else here from the committee, right?
We'll just skip over it for right now, we'll come back to it, is that fine?
Temporary?
All right,
The,
sand and salt update? Ventilation update? Anyone?
It's,
I think the engineer's recommendation is pretty clear. As
Yep.
far as what he's saying we need to do. I can't find it now.
I didn't read it.
Well, he's saying, forget about the thing in the roof.
Yeah.
That
Says
makes no sense. It
Two
doesn't
fans.
make any sense to me either.
Leave the existing down there.
2 fans, 4 to 6
Add
feet
two,
from
add
the,
two half-size either side of the door. And then you can run all of them together or one of them or whatever. So, yeah, there it is. That's what it says on
Do we
complete.
have a price on it though?
No,
No,
It's
this
just
this
his-
is just, what
his-
the suggestion would be to eliminate the issue. And am I the only one that thinks if we go with a half-size fan, that we're gonna wish we went with a full-size fan in both of those locations? That we're probably gonna come back in a couple of years and be like,
Beck was gonna give
still
up,
isn't taking care of it.
wasn't it Beck? No, not Beck, CB Davis?
C.B. Davis.
Yeah. Hang on a minute, we'll get to him. But CB Davis was gonna give something too, and they've got engineers in there, too. I'm just wondering why they haven't done anything yet.
I think it's logical, if you run both
ahead.
of the fans, the small fans, they are the equivalent of the big fan.
Jack?
Yeah. I'm sorry Denny isn't here. He and I have had this conversation, and I would rather have him here to hear it and react to it. But there are a few things that we know for sure, and some things that we don't know. One thing we know for sure is the capacity of the existing fan. Another thing we know from the smoke tests that were done is that that fan will exhaust the building in a reasonable time if the door is closed. The next thing we know is that the people who have to work up there, who have to receive mixed salt with sand, and then who come in with the trucks in the winter time and need to be loaded, they have to have the door open, which throws any calculations involving the door closed out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you have is a door with an area of over 300 square feet. That's an almost infinite source of air, and a fan with a fixed capacity that is far, far less than what can come into there. It doesn't all come in because it's restricted to the fan capacity. And what you have is outside air coming in under various conditions of weather and wind. It's pushing against a blanket of air in that building, but it can't get out except for what that fan can push out. And just a rough calculation of how much air it's trying to get in, relative to the fan capacity, I come up with about 15 times. So I have a very hard time believing that another fan of half capacity, or twice the capacity, or 5 times the capacity is really going to fix anything up there. But I'm also on I'm also the owner of a barn that was put up in probably 125 years ago when the fashion was loose hay and horse-drawn hay wagons. Mm-hmm. And it has a door that's about 12 foot square on the south end where the wagons went in. And it has a door on the other end that's quite a bit smaller when the empty wagons went out down the ramp, which is no longer there. There's a drop of about 7 feet. So normally that door is closed. That barn is also the home to a flock of swallows. It has been in the 55 years we've been there and long before that. They're great to have around for the insects, but they really make a mess in the barn every year. The nests break off and fall down in the mud splatters. They poop all over the place. The dead ones fall on the ground. And every year it has to be cleaned up. If I try to clean that up with the big doors open, but with the back doors closed, I have to wear a mask because the air can't get out. It's open to the atmosphere, but it can't get out. There's just a cushion of air.
Yep.
I finally came to that if I go and open up the back doors, which hasn't been opened in a long time, that there's a current of air that flows right through, and it sweeps through, and everything's fine. If the wind's in the south, it's fine. If the wind's in the north, it's fine. It cleans that barn right out. I hate to see the town spend money both in installation of fans and the electricity to run them and so forth, when I have real strong feelings that it's not going to be the solution. And what I would suggest is that sometime this summer, 5 of the equivalent of, if not the panels themselves, 5 4x8 sheets of plywood and the metal cover that covers them be taken off the back of that building. Just open it right up above the fill line of the building. Put the panels, put the materials, lean them up against the wall out of sight, put a tarp over them, put a cord around them so the wind doesn't blow them, and they stay there, and they're there in case they have to be put back. But I would like to see that tried before you go ahead and spend money to put fans in.
So essentially just create a door.
Just create a wind tunnel.
Smaller than the
Create
other,
a wind
create a wind tunnel.
Why wouldn't they put louvers in?
Huh?
Why wouldn't they put louvers in?
Why bother?
No, but I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, to keep the snow out, it would open up, let the air in.
I have
You
I have
could
louvers in my
put
greenhouse
louvers in there
room.
and maybe screen it, that would be fine, that would be elegant. But to try it,
You try it out first,
Oh,
and then if it
Sure.
works, we can.
May I say?
You could try it for a winter and see if it works. If it's headed in the right direction, and you need to open up a few more panels, go ahead and do it.
go ahead.
We also own a barn, same vintage as Jack's. I never work in it, I never clean it out unless both doors are open, for just that reason. Because the airflow through it is really what makes it work. You know, so I'd be willing to try Jack's suggestion.
It sounds like the simplest, doesn't it? Try
It's
out, see what
simple,
can
it's
work.
cheap.
Unless you feel otherwise, or what?
I don't know, I mean, I'd like to hear what CB Davis has got to say too, before we
Yeah.
make a decision.
Okay.
I think we should table this. until-
Yeah, definitely, we need to, but,
I'll make that motion if you want.
I just, you know, he doesn't say what size fan or anything that I could say.
Well, I had the same question that you did, Melanie, as I read this, about, you know, putting in 2 new fans that have half the capacity of the single existing fan, knowing the problems that have been there. So, I really like your suggestion, I think it's
And I don't know, and I asked Danny to talk to Bill Pulsper too, because that was his specialty. Guy is great.
I talked to him, he said, what he told me, he's been out of it for so long that he would
He
rather have
got me,
rather have
yeah.
others do it.
That was a good story for him, that was an easy out.
Because I talked to Denny and recommended that to him.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what Bill used to do, correct? He hadn't forgotten, he just, anyways. All right,
Table it?
yeah, I'll just make, if somebody wants,
I'll make a motion to table this
I'll second
until we get further.
we'll do
information.
second.
We need more information, I
Any
think.
more discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you, 5. We're gonna table it.
Thank you.
You may in the meantime, want to have just somebody look at what would be involved in doing what I suggested.
Talk to Denny about it and have Gary take a look, see what it would take to get it off, you know. All right, let's move on to new business, is
Tax commitment.
tax amendment. Looks like-
Dennis and the assessor and I all recommend 0.0146 for the new mill rate. The minimum we can have is 0.0145.
So, 0.0144 here.
That was last year, so it shows,
Oh, was it?
right, that was last year, so it shows what it goes up for a property value.
And I see the minimum on the other sheet is 0.145.
Yep.
So,
So you're talking the $50,000 difference, is that what you're talking?
Right, it's a $20 difference per $100,000 value, it's $20, the mill rate.
on this sheet.
On it, yeah, I saw that one.
And then the second one is the main revenue services tax rate calculation. So close to the bottom, it has the amount that we used, 0.0146 is the selected rate with an overlay of 50,605 is what the overlay would be with that. And 50,000 is generally what the town goes with.
How much an increase over last year to this year?
It's only 20.
Tell me what.
$20 on $100,000 home,
What was the mill rate to last year?
0.0144. And we're recommending 0.0146.
And that works out to 20 per 100,000.
And the reason it hasn't increased more is because the town went up with $6 million on new home valuations and construction, any other construction. We had $51,000 in a school fund rolled over from last year, and the homestead exemption increased. So that's why we were able to keep this whole out.
But why not 0.0145?
We could, but our overlay would be a lot less, we try to keep the overlay about 50,000.
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of the treasurer.
I don't like to see it go up at all, but
I don't either, but we-
I'll second that, I
We did
guess.
try to hold it for a handful of years, well,
We have,
what do we have in unexpended, undesignated fund? Because what we've done in the past is if we felt strongly about not raising the mill rate, if we were able to cover some of the tax increase from the undesignated fund and still have enough left there for a quarter.
Right, but we didn't vote on that at town meeting to take any money to offset the budget in the undesignated fund.
That's where we offset the tax there.
Yeah, as I said,
Budget
the
fund.
undesignated fund, so the vote at town meeting has always been that the undesignated fund. So we lapsed into it, that it was not specifically designated to be someplace else at the end of the year, and that the undesignated fund could be used to offset the tax increase in the town. We did not vote the same.
We did not vote for that this year, we did not vote to take anything from the undesignated fund to offset taxes.
We probably should set that up at, when we do the budget, at that, again.
Yeah.
Well, so the auditors, well, in general accounting practices recommends that municipalities have 3 months of operating budgets and then
That's what it
budgets and the
said
and the undesignated fund, and we have not had that. This is the first year that we have just about 3 months of operating expenses in the undesignated fund.
Well, it's something else that we need to look at in the budget, because that has been the budget in practice in the past, was to ensure that the what we had a full 3 months of operating built into the budget.
Right.
It's been moved and seconded, so. Any more discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor? 5, 6, yep, 5. Thank you. Next thing on the agenda is Wyndham Maintenance RFP response. And it looks like, yeah, they're the only ones that, we got the,
Well, nobody responded, and it looks like we contacted them.
Well,
They were gonna
yeah.
respond.
they were waiting for a written,
Yeah.
anyways. It looks like the only ones that responded was Warren Brothers. And it looks like a total for the, what do we want, the total contract for the 3 years would be $762,183.30.
Now, the question is, did this same thing happen with the other prospective bidders? That they were waiting for it to come in writing?
I don't know. He did not get any, then he did call me on this. And he did not get any calls from anybody else, and I think I sent some out, correct?
Other than Warren, did you email anybody else with the bid?
Only told about one.
We
We
emailed
put it on,
to
it was on the MMA website, it was on the website, it was on the Facebook page,
on the sign.
it was on the sign.
Do you feel we're
Take out
covered?
the legal notice?
It was in the paper for a full week.
So it was a legal notice. It was in the newspaper, it had to be a legal notice.
Right.
So we're covered.
So we're covered. And I mean, they went up about, well,
9.27%.
that's what they went up.
Per year or
The
No,
whole total was 9.27%.
for the,
years.
for the, for the 3-year total, 9%?
Yep. And it was about $64,682.30 is the difference in the 3 years.
64,000?
64,000.
It's 20,000 a year.
any more discussion on this? If not.
Do we have any, I don't know of a lot of complaints with Warren Brothers work, doing the roads? Did we field a lot of complaints on it, or does anybody know?
People on the West Road, Depot Road area were not loving it this year or last year.
I was on the West Road, I didn't have a problem with it. Can't drive 50 miles an hour, but you shouldn't be in the wintertime anyway.
You're on that end of the West Road.
You good in?
I'm on this end of the West Road, and there was one storm that I actually got stuck trying to take the Depot Road out. The Minot Hill Road got stuck halfway up and had to come back down. The Depot Road hadn't been touched at all. I literally had to booby stop my way to the end of the Depot Road to get onto 27, so I could attempt to come in on that end.
I know they did have trouble with
So that one was a really not, like, one of the worst examples.
Says in
I
trucks
literally
every
wasn't
day.
sure I was getting home, or if I was gonna be waiting too slow.
Is that a one-time incident?
That was the worst one this past winter. There were two other ones that were not quite that bad, but where, you know, significantly later in the afternoon when it was a good section of their work. I asked Eddie if there was, somebody knew was plowing in that area, did they subcontract? Because we hadn't had that issue in the past, and then I wondered if part of it is the salt priority, and if we're seeing a difference on that side of town with the salt priority. But
Well, do you feel it was significant enough that we shouldn't consider these people? We're the only bidders.
We don't have any other
I
bidders.
know, we don't have the other options, that's why, you know, and I've never had an issue with the one rows in the past. I've actually called them numerous times to tell them I thought they did a fantastic job after
Yeah.
particular storms. I'm not a person who complains and also doesn't compliment others too. But I know there were a couple storms this year that I was like.
You're not gonna find many that do any better job than these guys.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
thought they did a pretty good job.
Well, and I'll tell you, and I travel around a lot. I mean, when I was driving the school bus, went through several different towns, and probably Belgrade had the best roads of all.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying.
Manchester one, and it gets a little hairy.
Oh, you go to Mount Vernon. Anyway, I don't wanna go there.
Yeah, we're lucky to have them. I would say that's,
It's been moved and seconded.
Yeah.
If there's no more discussion, I'd entertain a vote.
Now, there is something in here,
Hang
an
on.
attachment A pay schedule that has the mix as the 2015 summer shed.
That's the, I put the old contract and the new one, but in the front of your packet, you have the new one.
First one, which is whatever, that was on final. That's 2018.
Things like the second page.
It's dated 2018 to 2021.
You all set with that?
What is the mix that we set? Oh, so this just doesn't have, it just says end of May for each contract year. What's the mix of between them?
I don't know.
I don't remember what it is. It's the same as what it was. We did not hold the salt priority for the north end of town. Still gonna stay in the south end for now. Go next year maybe, see what happens. Thank you. All right, any more?
We'll call it off.
Danny? I mean, Jack, got work.
What you've discussed about the sole bid, concern about the sole bid, was a matter of discussion at the road committee, the last road committee meeting as well. Because we have 3 years now with this, but 3 years tends to go pretty fast. And you don't just pick up the phone at the last minute and get another snowplow.
Absolutely.
So the town needs to be thinking about what's ahead.
yeah.
Thank you.
Because I mean, imagine if Denny called them and said, you know, where's your bid? And they said, you know, we've decided to retire. We'd be in kind of a world of hurt here in terms of, so it would be wise to maybe cultivate some other bids if they're to be had out there, but just to cover ourselves, but that doesn't matter when it comes to voting on this particular
Correct.
term.
Thank you.
Call it off.
Yep, I'm gonna call a vote. All in favor? Warren Wood. Thank you. Bye.
I'm sorry, can I get the motion and who's second?
He made the motion, I seconded
Okay,
it.
thank you.
We are gonna move on to status of the sale of the old town office. Recommendation to lower the asking price. This is where I got a little bit ticked off. I got a call from the press, the newspaper, on, I think it was Thursday night. They asked me about this. I didn't know anything about it. So I thought maybe I just didn't get the email yet. Well, I didn't get it. I have to talk to Cheryl about it. We're gonna see if we get it straightened around, but I don't like having mud thrown in my face. So I think what's gonna happen from now on, which it says in our bylaws, that before the agenda goes out, it has to be approved by the chairperson of the board. I really don't wanna do that, but I think it's come time. I'm not gonna get mud thrown in my face again. I wanna see what's on the agenda before anybody gets it. So,
I wasn't aware of
I don't think there's
I wasn't
anything wrong
aware
with
that
that
we
at all, I
rejected
think
the
you
bid.
should.
well, I don't like that when people call me and I don't have the information.
Of
It makes
course.
me look bad, and I usually get my ducks in a row before I say anything.
I think Denny rejected, we gave him permission to go ahead and represent us.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and he rejected the $55,000 bid, which is very low.
Anyways, if you read in here,
He said that.
it looks like Joan McKenzie's asked for this to be lowered. We just had this discussion 2 or 3, 4 or 5 meetings ago, whatever, and we decided not to lower it at that time because it's summertime. We ought to see what we get for traffic on this.
Because I thought the conversation that I heard when I first came on was that we had suggested lowering the price and Joan suggested holding off until we got into the summer,
No, vice versa.
vice versa.
Yes. And I'm not sure I want to yet either. You know what, if we set it at 94,000, so somebody's gonna come in and offer us 80, what do we do with it? You know, we're trying to get the most money for the taxpayers, and I think, you know, if we want, whatever you guys wanna do, I guess, but I'm not happy with this.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I'd like to have the information on this before we get to a board meeting, to decide on this, you know?
Yes,
We need to get more information on this stuff before we get here, so we can maybe ask some questions.
I was actually thinking that this one was looking better, because I felt like there was a little more than
There
we've
is.
had in the past. We've had like the page and it was empty and I was
It
like,
has
well,
got
when
better.
we get there, we'll see what we're looking at.
We've asked for that,
Seeing as because I complained about that a lot, you know.
I'm glad you did, because I
Yeah.
was trying not to over.
I said, even if it's just a couple of sentences, give us some idea what it's
Yeah,
about.
some idea of what we're doing.
Well, I think then,
And even, you know, I would have liked a little email on this, like, you know, so what I did
Absolutely.
was I rejected the $55,000 bid. Yeah, we're talking to the realtor, and this is, you know, how do we do that and still keep us legal?
well, I think Denny did tell us at one of the meetings that they've been offered 55,000, he said no, which,
yes, I
did
do
tell us.
remember
I
that.
don't think he said no at the time, I think he told us he'd been offered 55,000, but he didn't know much about the person, blah, 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 and I think he was looking to us like, was it all right if he
rejected it.
he took the lead. But then a little, you know, heads up, like, by the way, this was the action taken.
Maybe just a little email.
Because I don't hang out anywhere in
Me
town
neither.
ever, so I don't get the news.
Well, you gotta start it. Anyways, so
Are they
what's,
gonna get more scratch tickets
Start-
or
Yeah.
coffee a days or something?
just ride around the
you
truck.
gotta get up
What I
to,
need is to quit my job.
you gotta get up to
I was
the
gonna
other
say,
way
stop
up.
working.
I call it the liar's table. Anyways,
Just ride around the truck with him.
yeah. So what's the pleasure of the board? What would you guys like to do?
Let's and stay put for a while,
I'd
Yes,
like
I would.
to, I'd like to reject the idea.
at least till the end of the summer.
I make a motion that we not accept this recommendation.
I'd second that.
Okay.
On the other hand, if somebody should have first 95,000,
I,
I would make a
We
recommendation.
might entertain that.
That we entertain that.
maybe.
Maybe. But, all right, is there any more discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. We're staying at the same, at the 110.
Great.
Handicap accessible to the voting area, recommendation, request. I know Denny got talked to, you wanted to handle it, or you want me to?
No, you can't.
I know Denny, had a couple people come up to him during the voting, and I guess people were having trouble coming in the handicap
We
entrance out
can't,
there.
because there's a curve there.
Right, it is perfect. And we had talked about this, doing something there last year, I believe, nothing got done. It's-
We talked about it, because I objected to it, being the only board member, at least right now, with any kind of disability. I said, this is crazy, you should have a walkway across that,
Absolutely.
yeah, and it was just,
What was the reasoning that they did that?
oh, they said, no, people are gonna use the front door, or something like
No,
that.
but there was a reason why they didn't do it in the beginning.
I don't
I
know.
can't remember, but anyway,
There's a dip in the side, there's a dip in the sidewalk. If he, instead of going up onto the sidewalk, they can
That's right.
come all the way around and go up the ramp, and it comes up.
Yeah, well,
in gradual.
that's not useful to somebody who's got a disability.
so, I guess what he's done is got, I guess Gary has done some homework on this, am I correct? And has come up with a price to fix it of $1,584.
Yep.
My question is, do we have the money to do that?
We're going to try to pay it out of the facilities budget.
Let's see,
When you get to the treasurer's report, you'll see that most of the budgets are staying at 6 months, under 50% so far. So we're going to try to pay it out of the facilities budget, and if we can't, we can take that out of the town facilities capital reserve, if you give us permission.
My other question is this gonna make it so it's handicap accessible? We're gonna run into any,
Can we go out and look at it? Does anyone mind if we?
Well,
we can
the
do
other
that.
question I got is, are we gonna have to put an electronic opener on?
That's what I asked.
Did you?
Asked
I'm
Dennis.
sure we are.
And yes, we should.
And I looked at the price and we paid over $8,000 for that button to be installed last year.
So my guess is if we do this, we probably will have to put it in the budget for next year, put a handicap open on that door, no question. Would you like to take a couple minutes and go look at that?
See what they look.
Got a couple of
Question.
minutes up.
I already did.
Dick?
Just out of curiosity, maybe I didn't hear it, but what's the problem with people coming in the front entrance for voting?
I think they set it up all the time to come in the back when they're voting, that's why.
But for a very limited number of people, is there any reason why they could not be directed?
Probably not.
And
Just put a sign out that says handicap.
I was actually one of the people that called Denny, because I was standing out here giving out flyers for the library, and I saw an almost horrific, accident, this close to somebody with a walker going over that curb, and it
Right.
would have been an absolute disaster. You're right, they can go all the way around, but it's human nature to take the shortcut, and they were all trying to go over the grass and over that berm.
And somebody has a handicap, that's a long way to go into the front. $1,600 is a pretty good deal, and if we have to next year put on an electric opener, we put that in the budget as we say.
I don't have a problem with the price of this, I just wanna make sure what we do out there is.
It works,
it-
it works.
Well, it's set up for handicap accessible.
Well, that's what I was.
Entryways.
If anybody wants, just, yeah.
I just don't wanna throw good money into bad money.
Well, how do I make that determination?
Well, I'm wondering if there's somebody that needs to come look at it that's.
Oh, okay, why don't we?
Gary had one concern, is that when you have the layout so that it comes up onto that lip, you're still going to have those couple of inches that fall off the pavement down, and that's why we had to have that railing, because we did have that couple of inches that went down, and you can't have, I mean, it's a trip hazard, you'd have to have some sort of railing there, unless they did something different with the pavement.
Is there anything wrong with putting a sign out front that, like out front of the building that says handicap accessible and then directing handicap people to park in the front?
I don't think there's any problem with doing that, I just don't know if people do it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm in favor of that. I'm not, I think we should make it as easy as possible for handicapped folks, but we've already done that with the front door. And I mean, if we're gonna go this route and then possibly add an electronic opening door back here,
And maybe a
we're
rail.
looking at almost 10 grand. You said $8,000 for an
Over
opening door?
8,000, yep.
That's, we've already done that to the front door. And I just, I think there's never been a sign to my knowledge that has said, I've always seen the sign that says voting this way to discourage everybody from coming in the front door. But we could certainly make a more permanent sign, a more visible sign saying, handicapped access for voting this way. And where we've got the automatic door already my statement.
Go ahead.
Cheryl, what would be the problem with people if we just make them come in the front door and go out that door or something like that?
It's not a problem as long as you don't get the rest of the flow. I mean, handicap, yeah, I understand that, and that would be great, but everybody else is gonna wanna do that same route.
What's wrong with that?
And would that be a bad thing?
Well, if we're busy in the front office, it could be.
How many times a year does that happen? How many times a year do we vote?
Yeah, if we could limit it to the handicap, that would be great. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, and I don't think anybody else would. But I'm just concerned that if you start that, it's gonna be, everybody's gonna wanna come that
Well,
way.
couldn't we appoint another, I don't know the proper term, but another election warden or somebody to kind of keep people moving through there? A traffic control person,
Ranger.
I don't see
Ranger.
one of the election clerks could, yeah.
an election clerk, somebody. I think before we go out and spend a ton of money, it's worth a try.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it.
And we also, the employees leave at 5 o'clock out front there, all the employees leave. And until we get the cages in there to lock everything down, there's no secure area
What are
out
the-
front there.
So
for
have
walking through.
an election clerk to
Right,
would
if we
help
had
with
an
that
election
as well.
clerk, yeah.
That could be their assignment, is that front office. When are the cages due, by the way?
They're working on it.
This one.
Hey, Jack?
One way or the other, you ought to make sure that the buttons that exist out front don't get covered up with leaflets and papers and stuff as they are this evening.
Oh, I didn't even notice it when I came in.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's got the buttons?
Yeah, there's a paper over them.
Over the,
Yeah,
Is there really?
why
I
did they
didn't
do
even
that?
notice it.
we'll take it off when we go.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything?
So, just, I guess I'm not against the idea. I mean, this, I guess Denny has already asked Gary to get the work done for this ramp. And I guess I'm not against that. But if somebody needs an automatic door, I think, you know, we already have one, and I think we do need to, I would say, yeah, we could probably go ahead with this, just to add, you know, give a little added, access to those that shuffle their feet, or, you know, have a walker or whatever it might be, but then I think we need to concentrate on having a better signage, you know, for people that really need, a wheelchair access or something like that to come in the front door. And I think, and with the idea of having an extra election clerk that sort of is the maitre d', if you will, of this establishment, then, so, you know, I guess I don't think we should necessarily tell Gary to not do this.
Well, I
But
mean,
is
What do you
doing
think?
this, if we continue doing this, is it then going to lead to something else that we then need to make sure is, you know, are we creating an issue?
Okay.
And honestly, I don't ever come in this way except for voting, so that's why I was like, do you mind if we look at it, because unless I'm standing there looking right at it, I'm
Yeah, we
not
can go take a
thinking
look
about
at
it.
Let's,
and
you know,
I'm
when we did the
not
walkthrough,
confident way.
or before the walkthrough, I asked, why are all the handicap spaces over here? They said, because that's gonna be the handicap entrance, and then they didn't do anything about it.
put it
Well,
on
and
the
that's
wrong
what I
door.
thought the conversation was the original plan that was supposed to be, but then it wasn't done that way because we was gonna save a little bit of money.
Which we're gonna spend now.
Well,
so.
the handicap stuff wasn't even put in when they built the building, one thing. That was another forgotten thing,
Yeah,
that we had to put in the next year's budget. Anyways, I don't mind, let's take, 5 or 10 minutes, go take a look at that and come back. Everybody's in favor of that?
I'm gonna take part of my 5 minutes and stop
Yep,
across the hall.
fine. We're gonna take a 5-minute break, a 10-minute break, and just go take a look, and we'll be right back.
Well, just explain, yeah, okay, so if we do it this way though, I mean, this is what
Don't touch anything.
we do with engineering background.
Yeah, like, don't touch anything.
Really isn't.
Can I go out the exit? Do I? I don't have to go.
I moved the chair, so don't back up.
So you, able to talk about the Senator season?
We're gonna go back to that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the one that's the issue.
Honey, it was the people meeting and the left of about that.
Yeah.
Then,
Here, I'll
like I said, literally somebody.
Oh, so leaving.
Yeah, cause that's the, but see, cause that goes right outside.
You are sent.
You got a point there, because that's the exit, it's the entrance, and we're thinking of people coming in, and they could use the front door.
They can't go back.
And we could,
But
but
you
you're
are
right,
sent that way.
yeah, you're sent that, so I mean, I think, you know, we could certainly have better signage and maybe another clerk that would sort of allow people to go in the direction they should go.
I noticed whoever has the handicap vehicle today is parked on the sidewalk, not in the parking space.
Yeah, that's Michael. Yeah, it's a good point, but I think, you know, we could just be clear, or maybe have one of the clerks or an additional clerk that would say, you know.
But I just happened to be
help
there
people.
and saw this almost happen, and the town would have gotten sued.
I'm thinking like what we do at church, for instance, you know, we have handicapped ramps. And for those people that need a hand, you know, there's always a greeter who would sort of assist them, you know, park their wheelchair where they need to go or whatever, so could just be alert to that, I think.
Yeah. But it was more of a case of the people leaving.
Sure.
And Ernie Rice was right there. Saw me saying, oh.
Push her over.
But no. That wouldn't, you know, that wasn't supposed to be.
Well, yeah, well, let's not get started there, because as Rick just said, you know, handicapped access wasn't even part of this building. It was forgotten. And
so
where were Ernie Rice then?
I wanted to say that, but I was pretty much.
That's right.
However, I did say, for Cassie Brown, Andrew, and I, and we were for that.
Yeah.
I'm not
Well, it's
surprised.
gonna be addressed, and, you know, whether it's addressed with better signage, because, you know, you see how there's all kinds of signs that says voting this way, voting that way. And there's no signs that say handicap, except for, you know, what's currently there. I mean, we could do a better job.
You could do, certainly that would make a difference.
Yeah. And then even even there could be a sign right on the desk when you come to.
Because really what it was they came out,
Yeah.
and rather than going down and around,
Yeah.
they were trying to take that shortcut.
Yeah.
It is human nature.
It is.
It
Yeah.
When you're going in, you're intent on whatever it is you have to do. When you're going out, you're busy talking to whoever's next to you and not paying
Yeah.
so much attention.
Yeah.
Perfect drivers are using car insurance.
It's right. Oh, mine's
Well, they're doing the first and third Tuesday.
okay. Because I was saying, I know they must have a set schedule, but I couldn't see when
I
that was
was
set.
waiting to hear from Diane when you were back from your trip, so I could get it in, because I gotta get it into them by Thursday. I think it's noon or 1 o'clock. Then it'll be on the agenda, and then I find out whether or not it made the agenda
Oh, yeah. Oh,
for
yeah.
our meeting. It's always the first Thursday of the month.
I'm more confused now than I was before.
Yeah, I think is that possible?
Recessing. Ernie is prepared to talk about that.
Yep. Let's get through all this and we get down to the rest and then we'll come back to the next. We'll go through the appointments and we'll go back to them.
do that, that's very good, people meeting here.
John wanted to do.
All right, let's just dispense with this
Center for All
one.
Seasons.
Dispense with this one. Where's our, do we have,
We do.
We're gonna do that. We're going to do that. I think all select people should have to wear a hat like this.
oh God, no.
I wouldn't wear that thing to a stone throw.
You ought to see the hat I do.
It's still outside, let's go.
Okay, next item. We dispense with those three items now.
That's right.
Right.
Motion to adjourn?
And make
Golden
motion
brick.
to adjourn?
We're gonna dig a ditch.
I'll take that, I'll have to pay my taxes.
All right,
Okay, here we are.
we're back at it.
Back at it.
What's the pleasure of the board on the handicap accessible ramp
I
outside?
make a motion, we leave this alone and just leave it, put a couple, use that 1,600 to get a couple big rocks. For now.
Are we gonna, you wanna add something to the signage and
Yes.
route of traffic and?
Yes,
And if necessary, appoint an extra
Clerk.
clerk to act as traffic manager in the front office.
Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
second.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion on that?
We also ought to ask
So
Denny to,
let me, I'm sorry.
we also ought to ask Denny to stop from doing anything.
I think he just went and got a price, I don't,
Okay, okay.
that's my,
Well, he says I've asked Gary to get the work done,
yeah, well. Okay,
but it's not clear as to whether or not there'll be sufficient funds
It's not
in the
done
budget.
yet, so I guess put the brakes on
that's
it.
right.
Yeah, we can always do that later if this doesn't work. Right.
So I just want to be clear.
Yep.
So we're not going to do this.
Correct.
That's what the proposal is.
What the proposal is that we're not going to do this, that we're going to use the money to buy some big rocks, that,
Buy rocks, this is Maine.
I know.
Well, we
We're
don't
gonna
have
grow
last
some
time
new
we thought we were gonna get some rocks that were fabulous.
Probably don't have to
We're
buy
going
the
to improve the signage. We're going to improve the signage so that people are clear as to where they enter if they're handicapped or have any problems.
And do we have like the spaces in front of that?
And we're going to consider changing the flow. Was that the other thing I understood?
Oh, the flow only if you're, if you come in through the handicapped entrance, we need to make sure that those folks are also directed.
And we're going to have a person who's hyper alert to those kinds of possibilities. Is that right?
Yeah. And
Okay, I just want to be clear as to
I think
what
having,
the,
mics on a
what
couple
the
of-
package looks like.
There might be mics on a couple of those.
Okay.
I think having the clerk idea, the additional election clerk would be wise, not only for entrance, but for exit. You know, the exit
Well, and that's what I think.
Is this
I mean,
door right here, whereas the entrance can easily enter, but sometimes Diane mentioned that people, you know, they go out that door and they need to be directed either by signage or by personnel to exit through the front if they're handicapped. So we can make that arrangement, I'm pretty sure.
I know, I'm thinking if it's gonna be like a two-person thing, though, is there one who's gonna be on this end and one on this
Well,
end?
I think they
we'll
can
figure it out.
float, you know, just to help,
Yeah,
The proposal
it's
is
just
to
a
figure
changing
it
of
out.
the flow
Yeah.
a little bit.
sure.
Okay, I think we,
exit out here.
And then a directed left. and
Yeah.
in-
But if
into
they-
the original entrance.
Even if they weren't, there's no problem with handicap access back to their vehicle
That's right.
going out. the
That's right.
store, Especially if you put some rocks or something.
Sure, yeah.
Well, they would go down to where there's parking.
Yeah,
So technically, that would be a
yeah, they
hindrance
could
to
go
them
around
getting
that
back to the
way,
vehicle.
sure.
remember there was a fence
Is there
there.
parking right there, and then, is there a way, if they go, okay, no, I was just out there looking at it. If you go down where that barn is and you walk around, there's parking.
Yes.
There is not a walkway there that takes you back to the handicap entrance. The handicap
Yes, there
entrance is further down.
Okay,
It
Oh,
could
No,
be,
no, no.
well, no, I'm just gonna add a little something to the, we were just talking here. When that sidewalk was put in there was a fence put up there, so people wouldn't do this. We took it down. because
I'm sorry.
It was, looked pretty dumb there. But here we are back to where maybe we should have left the fence.
Well, but it isn't a fence, if there's no,
No, but there was like,
if there's no walkway accessibility on this side for a handicapped person to get back to where they've parked their vehicle, without them going out into the parking area, where we have full parking spaces, and at times it's full on this end for parking. Then we've created an extra unsafe situation. So the simplest solution would be if we're gonna direct people that way and have them go out and around, we need a walkway access to get them back to the handicap area where they're parked.
Why don't we have them go out the way they came in?
Right.
Sure.
Yep.
I mean, that's,
let's try that, a vote, and see what happens. If we find this is still a problem, we probably have plenty of time to do this at a later date.
Sure.
Well, I'm saying start
Okay.
with signage, but
Well,
well,
yeah.
then they can still get
But
to
you
the
gotta be
handicap,
careful you
well,
don't-
they can't.
You don't make too much of a,
Call the issue, call the vote,
okay.
get it done with.
Okay.
All right. Any more discussion? Seeing none, I will entertain a vote on Melanie's.
Motion to
Yeah, that's it.
increase signage in a way that makes it much easier.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're handicapped, you're not allowed to
That's
go
what we'll
that
vote.
way.
And
All-
direct, and direct it in and out.
Yep, and
Yes,
in
direct it,
and out the front door. Everybody, all in favor? Thank you. So we're gonna make sure, Gary knows to hold up on this for now.
You gotta tell the, town manager,
Yep.
Gary works with him.
Yeah, town managers. All right, we're gonna do appointments next, and then we'll get back to, Center for All Seasons. We have a couple appointments. They've been sitting here patiently waiting. Wendy Dyer, is the first one. Hi, how you doing?
Good.
First of all, why do you wanna get on this committee? No, I'm joking.
Because the select board's all filled out.
Yeah. No, there could be a vacancy.
Any minute,
Yeah.
any minute.
Anybody wanna make a motion on this?
I'll move that we accept Wendy Dyer.
Anybody second?
Second.
Moved and seconded?
Yep.
Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor? Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much for your.
Cheryl's gonna swear at you in a few minutes.
No, swear you.
She's gonna swear at you.
It's all right.
She can swear at
She's gonna swear at you.
Well, she will, a little bit.
Where is,
You just
where is
say, you have to
Hazel
say
Drive?
the same thing she says, so.
Where is Hazel Drive?
Hazel Drive, between Hammond Lumber and Gagny and Sons on Route 27.
Okay,
Actually, I live right behind Dwayne Farnham's house, basically,
Okay.
towards the street.
yeah. I was just curious what part of town, but that's good, south part of town. Thank
All
you.
right,
Susan.
South Building.
Susan Littlefield, is this a reappointment?
South
She's a
Building.
reappointment.
Okay.
I'll move that we accept her.
And motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Moving seconding?
Where is she?
She doesn't have to be, she's.
a real-
Oh, that's right, she's a re-upper.
Sorry, served her juice.
Yeah. Any discussion on this? Seeing none? All in favor?
No leading there, any discussion, seeing none?
I wasn't gonna. All right, now we're
We
gonna
got
say,
somebody, well, somebody's willing to volunteer, you take it.
let's go back to the Center for All Season maintenance update.
We didn't have, when we get sworn in now.
Whenever she,
No, go ahead.
are you gonna swear her in?
Not at the moment.
Okay,
Anthony's gotta do some paperwork.
okay. You all set for being in for a few minutes more?
Oh, I'm learning so much.
All right. So I'm gonna turn this over to Ernie. I
It's a little
guess
scary.
Ernie's got some information from the Center for All Seasons.
Well, it's not much different than what you've got in your draft recommendation here. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them, but, there's these, samples here of what we've decided to recommend, for the upper portion of the building, which, the upper portion is shingled now, and so we wanted, as we stated here, we wanted to try to keep the exterior looking, sort of similar to what it looks like now without changing drastically the look of it too much. So the upper parts would get this cedar shingle vinyl product.
You got a sample of that,
Yep.
you see what it looks like.
So here's what that looks like.
Yeah, that's nice, yeah.
And at the, you know, it'd be the same color as what we have now.
Same stuff they have on Travis Mills' place. Yeah, pretty good stuff.
And then select siding is what the bottom portion would be. And this kind of locks together. It's kind of neat in that regard. So, and in the color, it's a composite, you know. So it has a 25-year warranty, and it kind of also matches the wood look that we have. You know, it's got a wood look to it, so it sort of matches what we've got there. And then the wood trim. This is here it is. This is what you call Boral exterior. It's like it's a composite. It's like a AZEK.
Plastic. It's like truck stacking, it looks like.
So this is what the trim would look like, and it's also maintenance free, has a long warranty.
Is that 125 years as well?
I think so. Yeah, I don't know what it's.
On the outside of that.
If it says here exactly what it's a long-term warranty.
Hell, probably putting in the ground.
So it's and it's also made of 70% recycled materials, which is kind of a neat aspect of it. All of these products have some recycled materials in them, which is kind of a nice way to reuse product. And so the recreation committee is aware of it, and you know they're the ones that use the building, and they're supportive of the whole idea. And so.
Is the committee ready to make a recommendation, or
That's,
one or another?
well, this is what our draft recommendation is here for the product.
That's what I'm asking.
So we don't have. This is what we'd like to recommend to the board for the product. And now we don't have cost estimates for the materials and the installation yet. Although we do have an estimate
Well, I see you're
for removal of the old trims and exterior siding and remediation of any rotted areas. You know, putting Type R building wrap up. You know, getting it ready for the installation of the product that we just, you know, we're recommending here. So you know, that includes, you know, dumpster fees, man lift rentals and so on for the higher areas to, you know, take all this down. So, and that comes at about $45,000 to, this is one estimate that we have for the removal of all the old stuff and repair of any rotted areas and things like that. So, so just to give you a ballpark idea what the initial cost would be.
So that's for removal and repair?
And this, we also talked, we also talked about, you know, potentially cost-wise, this might be done a little bit in stages, and largely also depending upon the scheduling of whoever we get estimates from to install this new product. You know, can they do it this fall, or will they be doing it in the spring? Or, you know, we may do the upper part with the shingle product that I passed along first, and then the lower part later, depending on scheduling and winter and all that kind of stuff. So.
Can I ask, it says for the trim, the committee discussed replacing the existing wood trim with a product such as the Boral True Exterior and having it metal wrapped. That, what you have there?
This here. Well, I think they mean like along the seams and so forth. It just protects the,
it further protects it from, for water, ice, that kind of stuff. Yeah, oh, sure. I'd throw it at you, but I don't wanna hurt you, so.
Because I guess I'm sort of picturing it like my decking that my porch is made out of, and I'm thinking I haven't had to do anything on the ends of that.
Well,
So
this
I'm
is,
wondering what
when
makes
there's water
this-
concerns, I think is what they're.
Is this what it's gonna look like when it's finished?
I don't think so, but.
Jack has got a question.
This isn't about the colors or anything else, but is this project moving toward an article for the town meeting warrant in 2019? If so, the schedule for having the budget is sometime late this fall.
They had authority to take the money from the recreation surplus or capital reserve.
Well, that was my next question. What are the funding ideas for it?
That was
good.
Yeah, it's gonna come from the Recreation Capital Reserve.
The select board was given the authority to go and work out the best deal, take the money, and that was an article.
Yeah,
And
so
take the
there
money
isn't
from
a
the
separate,
capital reserve.
there isn't a need of a separate article.
Okay. I'm not looking for what that plan is, but there
Yeah.
has to be a
Thank you.
financial plan.
Sure.
Thank you.
Whether bonding is a question, spreading it out that way, whether solicitation of donations for it might be a possibility.
Well, yeah, that, potentially that might be looked at as well.
Help a lot to sell.
Sure,
it,
sure.
to sell. So,
Okay, what, do you, should we have a motion to accept this recommendation, or how would you like to proceed with it?
But this is only a draft, so.
Yeah, it's a draft.
We need to get one that's not a draft before we
Okay.
vote on it, I believe.
So this is more or less a informational.
Yeah, they're trying to just giving us an update.
Yeah,
We gotta have some information
I
on the
think
cost.
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing hang on. Somebody's got a,
Well, I do see two on this Burrell, but this has a 20 warranty, so if we're looking at 25, 25, and 20, I'm comfortable with that. But it does also say here that this is designed to be virtually free from rotten termites, designed to be used in non-structural, proof for ground contact, which makes it ideal for exterior trim applications, resist moisture issues that typically plague with trim. So would we need to metal wrap it if it's already warranted for 10 years and?
yeah, I mean, that's something to look at. It was suggested for some reason, I'm not sure, I'd have to find out more about
it
that.
doesn't come in the right color.
I would pick a different color.
I probably did, it probably just comes in this white, and that's why they wrapped it. But
Well, no, it says to wrap it.
that's just,
Gary said that you
wrapping
could
for
paint it or
long-term
stain it,
maintenance free.
but that you're going to end up painting and staining it, so the wood actually lasts for 20 years, but if you paint it, the paint is not going to last for
So
20
that's
years.
5 years.
And, right,
Yeah,
and then that's why he suggested the metal wrap.
Well, then I would say there's gotta be some sort of a trim that is made that is more like that does not have to be painted.
yeah. So I mean, we'll,
And maybe we look at
That's a good idea.
something else that looks like wood, but really isn't.
yeah. Well, let's go back to, I mean, we can certainly, look at that again and answer those questions.
Cause I just hate to have us see one thing over there that's gotta be painted when the
Yeah.
rest of it is
Yeah,
maintenance free for.
I remember, deciding on the shingle and this board here, but I don't remember much discussion about this product here, so I'll have to find out more about that. And at our next meeting, maybe we'll have some cost estimates for the materials and maybe some cost estimates for the installations as well, coming in, so we can answer this question and maybe have some more ideas about how.
I think you've done a great job so far.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to accept, with the things we've talked about tonight, accept your recommendations. They sound good. Melanie's question on this one material is interesting. We ought to have an answer on that, or find another material to do that.
I think the majority of the board's okay with
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
this stuff. We
Yeah.
just
So
need to,
we like the way we're looking with this
We just need the
25-year
official-
low
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah.
Looks like what we've got there now is much easier to take care of.
We need that along, and then some pricing information.
Sure.
Ernie, the only other question I've got is, wouldn't the installer be the one that does the work, taking the stuff off and?
Well, quite possibly. I mean, this fella, I mean, this estimate here is just to the removal of the siding and repair. And quite possibly, this same guy could give an estimate on, I don't think we had decided on a product to replace it with.
Is that an old bid? I mean, how?
No, got it in May, so.
Yeah, I think that's when Gary was trying to put some figures together.
Yeah.
Whether we was gonna paint it again and repair what needed to be repaired on that. I think that was basically just repairs to get it ready to be painted.
But I mean, there's,
yeah.
This is gonna have to be done in addition to this, because there's gonna be removal, there's gonna be repair.
Right.
So.
I would just think the guy that's doing the installing will probably do it all.
Probably right, yeah. So it'll be a complete package, but we'll put that all together and at our next meeting or so, we'll have more information about that, but it's, the products are pretty well thought of.
Melanie's got another question for you?
Just when the siding and stuff is removed, I would like if maybe the town looked at what we could donate for it, like Habitat for Humanity, versus us just putting it in the dumpster.
If it can be salvaged, chances are it won't be, but.
Yeah.
It's pretty raunchy, I think.
Yeah, quite a lot of it's pretty.
Some of it's pretty grim.
We would be thinking of taking
I
it
know
down.
there's a handful of places that are gonna try to punch it, but it's been a while since I've done it.
And perhaps when you come back with a full recommendation, it'll have all the cost estimates in it, I'm very curious about a time frame as to how long.
Yeah.
Have the donors seen this stuff too? I know that was part of the.
Yeah, I don't, that needs to be addressed. I think we wanted to bring it to you first for this and then.
I think we're fine with it.
Yeah.
Yep, good work, good work.
Thank you guys very much.
Okay.
I know that was pretty sharp work too, I mean.
Yeah, we only met
turnaround.
twice, so, there's a number of people, we looked into painting with a different kind of paint, and we looked into vinyl and a number of different products, and this is what seemed to make the most sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything before we move on? No. Seeing none, we're gonna move right to the treasurer's quarterly update.
So the expense summary report is in there. As you can see at the bottom, we've spent less than 50% of the budget in 6 months. We're doing an excellent job.
I did get that on the email.
That's good.
I know, so I'm like, oh, that.
I looked at that and I said, geez, we're doing all right. I said,
May have that beer glass left.
yeah. Anything else? Anybody wants to ask any questions on it, right?
No, this looks good.
Looks good.
Quit while we're ahead.
Thank you. Let's move on.
Thank you, Treasurer.
To the warrant, I guess.
No,
wait
we
a
got
minute.
Belgrade.
Oh, wait a minute, we gotta get to the library.
I'm still here.
All right. Library's got some funding requests. You're on.
Yes, please. I'm scheduling my summer program, so it's time for me to come to you and ask for the money to pay for these wonderful people. So I have 2 requests for you. One coming out of the Levon Fund. I'm requesting $300 to pay Monica Wood. She's the main author. She's coming to speak on August 22nd. It does meet the requirements of the Levon estate to use those funds.
Make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Monica Wood is coming out of the bond fund.
Monica Wood would be coming out of the Levon Fund.
All set?
I'm set.
Seeing none, entertain a vote. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. My second request would be to come out of our library donations account. There are 3 presenters that we have coming that are not specifically main authors. so they would come out of this account. Greg Westrich is coming next week, June the 11th, and he's doing a program on hiking in Maine. He's gonna talk about the 10 best hikes in Maine to go on. We've got quite a big outdoor population here in Belgrade, so I expect quite an attendance. So I'm requesting $100 for that program. Monday, July 30th, we have Mr. Harley and the Strollers coming. Officially, his name is Harley Smith, but the title is Mr. Harley and the Strollers. It's gonna be a family music program, so I'm requesting $300 for that program. And then Wednesday, August 29th, I have Mike Taylor coming. He is an astrophotographer, very well known. He's got some pictures done with NASA. He's got several books that are published, and he's local, so he's gonna be talking about astrophotography, taking pictures of stars, comets, ties in very nicely with our telescope and our passes to the planetarium as well. So I'm asking for $150 from him, or for him rather, not from him.
Do I hear a motion?
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The first one, Greg Westrich. You expect a big crowd, you say? You gonna do that at the library or somewhere else?
Do him at the library.
Is it big enough? What kind of crowd do you think?
I expect so. I don't know how big of a crowd because we don't require signups ahead of time. It's just to show up.
Okay.
So I know we have a pretty good sized population that does quite a bit of hiking and outdoor stuff in this community, but you never really know. If it's a beautiful day like this, they may go to the beach instead of coming to the library.
They might be out hiking.
They may go with friends. It's very hard to predict what we have, but we're capable of doing seating up to 50, 60 people.
I'll move that we give approval to all three.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Thank you very much.
Good. We'll get out
And I
of here.
gave Melanie those this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move right on now to the warrant, and if I can get Melanie to.
Melanie too.
Thank you.
Warrant number 78, and the amount of $41,415.46.
Do I hear a second on that?
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
yes.
Okay.
We have a number of payments to the running club. I don't know what that is.
What,
We've got at least three.
what page you on?
Well, first one's on page 3, and it's number 17398. Grant, Mindy Grant, for $140.
That's from the Stevens Fund, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. That does say Stevens.
Yep.
So what threw me is that they have all these separate,
Yeah, they did.
yeah, but it's all the same deal, is that it?
Well, and I'm also wondering why they're different amounts,
Yeah,
why, you know.
I'm unsure of that. Pam Prescott takes care of everything as DC Stevens, and she submits something for the running club. You can look at it.
Yeah, it goes out.
another one if I missed. $240 for this one. Is it, did they?
Say that
It
again.
was
I missed this.
Worked a different
No.
amount of hours towards the running club. Some people had only worked like 2 hours and others had worked like 4.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Does it meet the requirements of the fund?
DC, we don't have any jurisdiction on
And I
that.
thought DC Stevens was on Richmond.
We just give them the
I thought so,
money,
that's what I
X amount of dollars to spend.
Well, the scholarship of the fund is for a particular purpose, and that's what I mean by does it meet the requirements? Is it just enrichment, the running club is considered enrichment, or is it supposed to be more academic?
I think it's
I don't
in
know that.
Well, I don't know.
Because these are adults too.
What's that?
These are adults that are part of this running club.
I think they're the ones that supervise the running club.
I'm sure they're the leaders.
Right, for these after-school programs.
Well, I'll vote for it this time, but before it comes up again, we need to have an answer to my question.
Going to have Pam come in, schedule her to come in to talk
No,
to her
just-
about.
just get an
Yeah,
answer.
she's the rock star.
Huh?
She's a rock star.
I'm gonna say, just get an answer to my question, sure, we have to come in.
You want to know if it meets the.
I just wanna know if this kind of thing meets the purposes for that fund, for that scholarship. In the meantime, we'll vote for it, I'll vote for it.
Anything else?
The headstone repair,
What page?
oh, page 3, you paid him a month for headstone repair.
Yep.
I think it was like a caulking for the headstone repair that we paid Ham and Lumber.
Is it cocked?
Anything else?
I have one.
Yep, go ahead.
Page 6, I was just curious, a sleep sofa at the bottom, Steve's Appliance. That it says it's for public safety, fire department. I assume they need a sleep sofa at the fire department, or?
They have per diem employees that they're trying to have overnight, and these overnight per diem employees have something to sleep on.
Okay, that's what I figured.
That's a pretty good price for sleep sofa.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to sleep.
Goodbye.
There's some beavers on page 4, where were they?
I guess it's probably Husk Point Road. Where they usually are.
Well, and I know that we had looked at making the culverts bigger so that we wouldn't keep paying these expenses every year for the beavers that have been relocated and cause an issue in another location.
The Rock Pond Road.
Oh, really? I was wrong.
They moved.
They're good. They didn't go to Oakland.
Moving, yeah, I was gonna say, we're moving to Oakland.
Yeah. The truth of the matter, that's not what they do. They don't take them out and let them go. No. Anybody else got anything?
That's it.
Seeing none, I would entertain a vote. All in favor? Looks like 5. Next thing is town manager.
Table that to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Since he's not here.
Seeing none?
Seeing none, right?
Seeing none?
I told Dennis we were getting out of here early because I didn't have anything to say.
Well, for God's sake, say
It's
something.
kinda hard to believe, really.
Yeah.
That's a
I was
first.
gonna say that, but.
Make a note of that.
You're lucky not.
Let's go to other. Anybody else got anything they wanna bring up?
Yes.
Okay.
I did ask Cheryl, we were talking about the properties that are owned by the town of Belgrade, and their intention was to purchase them, and then there was rental income that was gonna offset the price of them. I'd like to know where we are at as far as paying those properties off. And I'd like to see an overview of the last handful of years on those properties, like what are we doing for them? Are we gonna continue to rent them? Because we own them, so we really should be, but then we're investing money in them, like, we replace the gas stove, and by replacing the gas stove, it then cost us an additional $100 and something for domestic fuel. And then we had to have this line checked afterwards, so all of a sudden this gas stove is now $700 or $800 expense. That, are we recouping these costs with what we're doing?
Yeah, I'd asked them, why are we in this business? Why are we in the landlord business to begin with?
Well, and that's, so I did ask Cheryl, because that was part of being able to see some stuff in those minutes, was that when I left, we were in the process of, I believe Days Real Estate was gonna be renting it for us because we didn't wanna be in the landlord business.
We have another company that's doing that.
Well, as long as we own it, we're in the landlord business. Maybe we don't have to go down there and manage it, but I'm wondering, why are we renting buildings? Why are we renting residences?
Well, because we own them, so I know the philosophy was that we would generate some income back, but then what are we, I just like I guess just figure out where we're at with it. What's the damage that's been done there, where are we really looking at? Is this a big cost hindrance to the town? Is it paying for itself? Have we paid off these buildings?
It's a good point.
I asked Denny that question. He said it pays for itself.
What?
That's what- I asked Denny
We
that
own the
question.
buildings because we took money from the taxpayers to buy the buildings. So then technically, even though we didn't have a mortgage on the buildings, say, I think it was $155,000. So tentatively, what we were looking at was, okay, so if we rent the house and the apartment for X number, when will we recoup that $155 that we've asked the taxpayers to pay? So just giving that money back to the taxpayers was going into a maintenance fund or that.
It is,
That's
in
what's been
2012,
done.
it goes into a facility maintenance fund. We've got about $80,000 over those years in the facility maintenance fund.
So then we're still looking at about
Are we coming out ahead even with these expenses?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to the years before I was here, but, I mean, the expenses are minimal compared to what we're getting for income. And I do believe one of the tenants is moving out.
Yeah,
Right,
we got an
yeah.
email on that.
So we need to decide what we're gonna do with, that.
I think he was gonna put it to the real estate people again to get it rented out, I believe, but that was kind of what I thought, I read in the letter.
And make sure the lease included, they pay their
Ah,
own
yes.
heat, or we pay their heat.
I think
I don't
they
think
pay
we
their
should
own
pay,
heat,
and it shouldn't,
electricity.
you know,
Well, we did that, but there was a problem where somebody dug in it way too deep that they couldn't be buying fuel at the town.
or was it that they couldn't be buying it, or that if we didn't supply it, like, why if it was a town-owned property, could they not be getting it for the town's price?
I don't
But clearly,
remember, but there was
since
a
it was
big,
$1,200, it was still.
there was a big deal to come
And
up
they
with
still,
it.
and they do still owe that money,
Yeah.
because we're not getting our money back from them when we paid it at the town's price.
Right.
And it's not considered at the town's price, because although the town owns the building, we have it that they're responsible for their own fuel in the lease. So they can't get the town's price because they're responsible for their own fuel.
So how do they owe $1,200 of fuel?
Because we didn't know that before I got there, so I was billing her when I got here, we were billing her, and she's never paid any of it. So we changed it the following year.
Well-
And that's when we had problems where she wasn't paying for fuel, or nobody was paying for the fuel, so then we had to pay the plumber or the heater person to come in and fix it.
Which is the place that's vacant, about to be vacant, with the apartment upstairs or the house?
I believe it's,
The apartment upstairs.
It's the apartment.
I just think that we need to have a discussion on this whole thing before we let somebody else in there. Before we let that, again, we have to decide if we really want to continue to do this. If we do, fine.
what are we gonna do if we don't?
Tear it
This,
down.
Well, I have a note
Tear it
here,
down.
the note from Denny, did you read that about the rental? That Jennifer King was vacating the apartment, told the leasing agent to retain her deposit because she owes
Yeah.
Yeah,
$1,233.
I think we need to probably not
Okay,
publicize that.
well, whatever, but the fact was that they're going to, he wanted to change the lease to include the price of fuel and electricity. in the-
Yes.
In the monthly.
Public record, but
And then
But
I did a follow-up question, I said, so how does it work out? And he informed me that we were making money on the property.
yeah,
And if we include heat, not water, then we include heat, not water, you know. So then they don't owe anything additional, because the heat and hot water is part of their rental price.
So then we want to increase the rental price to recoup the heat that we're paying for.
Yeah.
So if we're paying $1,500 a year, then we should spread that over the 12 months and increase the rent.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah,
But then we get the town's rate because the town's paying for it.
right.
Right.
So then we get a slightly lower rate on the water.
anything else?
Just a point about that property. When I took a sort of a inventory of town buildings with Dennis and Gary some time ago, we talked about the potential of that garage where that apartment is above, as perhaps being developed into an additional town garage space, and that apartment space used as some sort of office area for Gary if need be. And so we were gonna, I'd like to continue that conversation. We haven't had any further conversation about it, but there was some talk about them needing more storage space or workspace. Potentially that's the spot for it. So, I don't know. It's a long-term.
Gary's got an office in here,
Yeah.
and I think that's probably where he ought to stay. That's my opinion.
Well,
I don't know. So,
point
I mean,
is,
it's
it may be a better use for the garage.
That's, yeah.
That's something that should be decided rather before we.
I mean, rather than building another building, if we absolutely need more space, you know, that'd be something to consider, and I guess I'd like to see where we're at with that, if that's something we ruled out or what, but, that was one thought about that particular spot. But we can discuss that further.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything?
This goes to, did you
We have a
sign that?
tenant in the house
Yes,
that has been there,
This is
staying.
all signed.
As far as I know, it's staying.
for now, I think there's, we're not, rather not talk on that, but
Yeah, because the other thing I wondered was, do we Airbnb that part? You know, is that a better use of our, you know?
It's so close to the rec center, you gotta really watch who's there, I think.
Yes, you do.
all right.
You start background checking people as they come so close to the rec center.
Do we background check the people that are there now? Or do we just assume because it was a woman that maybe she wasn't a child molester?
I don't know, I think we look at the lease, but I'm assuming that and one should never assume, but still, there needs to be, references for,
Well, because Airbnb, there are references, and you are background checked, and you have to give them your passport, and you have to give them your driver's license, and there's all kinds of, there are safeguards in place. But I'm just, if we will determine that we have to background check, then we need to background check everything. That's gonna be living that close to the rec center, we probably should be.
probably ought to.
You know?
Okay, anybody else got anything? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. And moving second, all in favor? Thank you very much,
Thank you, sir.
as usual. All right. Thank you all. Is that shut off?
Not yet.
That makes them a pretty big outfit.
Yeah.
BPS is